Welcome to the Sunday Morning Jitters podcast, your one-stop shop for fantasy, spreads, news, and analysis.
Welcome in, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Sunday Morning Jitters, the Week 3 recap edition. It's been a wild week, my friends. Lots of upsets, big points, big fantasy football performers, so we're looking forward to getting into it with you. Today it's just going to be me and Derek, man. BJ's busy. Jacob's still, busy. He's still holding it down at his house, so today it's just me and Derek. We're going to hold it down for you. Man, what a week, huh? We got quite a bit to talk about in this short episode.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah. It's been a lot of interesting developments, some pretty big injuries to starting quarterbacks and stuff around the league, and crazy fantasy football performances. So I guess let's go ahead and hop into the news.
League news.
All right, first and foremost, let's go ahead and get straight to Mike Williams. Mike Williams has the confirmed torn ACL. He is out for the remainder of the season, and he's put on IR. And it's a shame, man. He was having a good year. It was looking like he was going to be cooking right alongside Keenan Allen for a good portion of the year. Finished as the wide receiver 16. Well, he didn't finish there, but he was wide receiver 16 when he got hurt. 19 receptions, 249 yards, and a touchdown so far this season. So it's really a shame. Him and Kellen Moore, Keenan, Justin Herbert, and they're about to be cooking up a storm this year. So that's kind of a shame. But now, shifting focus here to fantasy football purposes, Derek, we got Quentin Johnson and Jordan Palmer are the two likely candidates. One of the two to take a good chunk of the snaps from what Mike Williams is leaving over. So if you had to take a guess on which one of the two you think it would be, who you got?
I mean, for the long term, I'd say QJ. But I think for the first 2 or 3 weeks, I think they're going to have Josh Palmer out there for the majority part of it.
Yeah, that's what I think too, man. I think maybe they kind of ease Quentin Johnson out there, but it's Quentin Johnson. They put a lot of draft capital in him, so this is his opportunity. He's the similar style receiver to Mike Williams. The big boy, big tall frame, go up and get the football, and I mean it just seems like a nice little replacement there. Then let's go on and move to another couple injuries that happened. The New Orleans Saints quarterback Derek Carr is week to week. In Sunday's loss to the Green Bay Packers, Carr suffered a sprained AC joint in his throwing shoulder. Dennis Allen, the Saints head coach, told reporters will evaluate him as it gets through this week. So that really didn't tell you anything. But he also said, I think we dodged a bullet. So that kind of implies that Derek Carr is going to be back sooner than later. And they, not going to be missing him for a huge chunk of the season, which is a good thing if you're a Saints fan. Another injury we got to talk about, Las Vegas Raiders quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo has entered the NFL's concussion protocol. It's not really clear when he suffered the concussion because he played the entire game. I don't know when he could have suffered it. If he played the whole fucking game, so who knows when it happened. But now he's got to make it through concussion protocol to play Week 4 against the rival LA Chargers. So yeah, that's never fun, but it is something that has to be done. Oh man, speaking of Raiders. Las Vegas Raiders defensive end Chandler Jones hospitalized against his will by Las Vegas Fire Department. He posted online that the police said they were concerned about me because of my post online, and he got put into a hospital against his will because of his post online, is what he's implying, I guess. And Jones was put on the non-football injury list on September 20th because of a personal issue, according to the team. So Chandler Jones quickly turning into one of the wackier stories of the offseason. I don't think anybody really knows what's going on. I remember a few weeks ago there was some shit he was talking about, the weird stuff going on with the Raiders organization, and so some other stuff that we're not going to get into. It's weird. I don't know. He's having a weird situation over there, and I hope he gets it figured out, man. And then last bit of news. Well, no, you got a couple more. The one that's, I guess, worth mentioning, Jets signing quarterback Trevor Siemian to the practice squad. If you remember the name Trevor Siemian, you remember him probably with the Broncos, because I'm pretty sure that's where he got the bulk of his career starts. Never really did a whole lot as a pro. I don't, if I was a Jets fan and they signed Trevor Siemian instead of, you hear all this stuff about Nick Foles and Andrew Luck and Carson Wentz and Colt McCoy, like all these names are thrown at you, and we signed Trevor fucking Siemian, I'd probably be a little heated. But,
I'd be sitting great.
It is what it is. It's just on the practice squad. You never know. It's maybe they're deciding it for an emergency. Who fucking knows, man? Oh, and then the last piece of news I have now, the Dolphins. The Dolphins of Miami beat the absolute brakes off of the Denver Broncos 70-20. You did not hear that wrong. I repeat it again. 70-20. 70 points in an NFL game. We're not talking about Big 12 college football. We're talking about professional NFL football. 70 points. Let's just
and then you got to take into account though they also had the chance to kick the field goal to get up to 73, but the coach decided he was going to be a good sport and not make history and just stick with the 70 points. And
you also have to keep in mind that they didn't have Jalen Waddle for that. They were down their second best receiver. 726 yards of total offense. Let me just run through some stat lines for you. Devon Achane, 18 carries for 203 yards, which is 11.28 yards per carry. 2 touchdowns, and he also had 4 receptions for 30 yards and 2 touchdowns. Raheem Mostert, 13 carries for 82 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 7 receptions for 60 yards and a touchdown. Tua Tagovailoa, he went 23 of 26 for 309 yards and 4 touchdowns. And Tyreek Hill, 9 receptions for 157 yards and a touchdown. Let me just
getting closer to that 2,000 mark.
I'm telling you, they're putting up Madden-like numbers every week. It's like, when you start a franchise in Madden and you just put up some crazy numbers and you're beating the brakes off teams, and you're like, man, this would never happen in the NFL. That's what the Dolphins are doing right now. They're beating motherfuckers like they're playing Madden on rookie.
Yeah. On rookie to point that. That's like I said, just throwing a bomb. Like I said, it was like first 30 seconds of the game, Tyreek Hill had a 70-yard bomb for a touchdown. You're like, did the game just start? Yeah, the game just started and got a touchdown. You were like, oh yeah, it's gonna be a long day for the Broncos, and it indeed was.
Yeah, I see what the Broncos were going for there, because they saw everybody else. They've seen everybody try to cover Tyreek Hill for his whole career, and they were like, you know what? What if we just don't cover him? Maybe that's what'll stop it. It turns out that's not how you stop Tyreek Hill either. So, yeah, interesting strategy there by the Broncos. It did not pay off though, and that's really all I got for the news, man. That's what we got. So let's go on and transition over to the top 5 fantasy football players of the week.
Top 5 of the week.
All right, this is the point in our recap show where we just kind of run through the top fantasy performers at every position, give you an idea of who's doing what around the league, just so you have an idea of what's going on. You see who balled out, and we usually go position by position, so it'll give you a nice little breakdown there. And let's start it off with the quarterbacks. We have Justin Herbert coming in at first this week at 23.9 points. Tua Tagovailoa, no surprise here. Second place, 28.4 points. Lamar Jackson in third place, 28.2 points, which would be higher. He actually could have been first if he just didn't fumble the fucking ball every time he touched it. Number 4 on the list, Kirk Cousins, which was my quarterback start of the week. You're welcome. 26.7 points. And coming in at number 5, no stranger to any kind of top 5 list, Patrick Mahomes, 25.7. Derek, were there any surprises in the quarterback list for you?
I was surprised. Like I said, Justin Herbert did so well, but other than that, it was pretty much as need be as what you said. I could see all those being top 5. Yeah. It's been a minute since actually Patrick Mahomes has been top 5, so that's why I was like, ooh, okay. when was his gonna mark when his mark was gonna be, and it was obviously this third week, and hopefully he stays there. But
Yeah, he's getting his groove back, man. Getting his groove back. It just took a couple weeks.
he
No,
just had to get Kelsey back. That's all it was.
yeah. Yeah, he got Travis Kelce back now. His receivers got a couple weeks to kind of get adjusted to everything, and it seems like they're starting to hit the groove a little bit, which is not good for the rest of the NFL. Let's move on to the top 5 running backs of the week. This is, I don't have any stats to back this up, but I'm very willing to bet that this is the first time in the history of fantasy football that there's been 2 running backs from the same team that have both scored at least 45 points. Like, I don't know that for a fact, but I'm very willing to bet just about everything that I own on that. Number 1 on the list, as we just went over some of the stats earlier, Devon Achane from the Miami Dolphins getting his first game in the NFL, maybe? Might be a second game.
He's played some, like, snaps down, but he's never actually had this, like, involvement.
So his first time really being involved in the offense.
Yeah.
Okay. 51.3 fantasy football points. That is a week-winning performance. That in of itself.
Indeed.
Number 2 running back on the list, Raheem Mostert, 45.2 points. The Miami Dolphins devastating duo of running backs. Man, that's just insane to look at. 51.3 points and 45.2 points against a team that's supposed to be defensive-oriented. Number 3 on the list, Kenneth Walker from the Seattle Seahawks put up 30.6 points, which was Derek's running back start of the week.
You're welcome.
Number 4 on the list, guy we're always used to seeing here, Christian McCaffrey, 22.9 points. No surprise there. And number 5, good old faithful, Zach Moss coming in at 22.5 points. Can't go wrong.
He went up, like I said, because he mossed some dude too. Hey, he put his last name up there.
That's right. He's Zach Moss.
Head test somebody. Hey, that was disgusting. I was like, dang. I mean, he's still a grown man, but he's like, man, you as a running back, you don't want to. Or I think he did it over a corner too. So as any DB, you don't want that happening to you. Not especially by a running back. That hurts your feelings probably a little bit.
Especially not by a running back who just got signed like 2 weeks ago. And now doing that to you, in front of the whole world. All right, moving on to the wide receivers. The top 5 of week 3, number 1 on the list. Looking over this list, I just realized that you can pretty much copy and paste this for any week for like the last 3 years, and you wouldn't be able to tell like what season it is. Number 1 on the list, Devontae Adams, 29.2 points. Number 2 on the list, we got Keenan Allen with 27.5. Number 3, Tyreek Hill, 21.7. Now that I look at it, it's kind of crazy that Tyreek Hill put up that many fantasy points with both running backs putting in as much work as they did. Like, the fact that he managed to do as much as he did is kind of nuts.
Oh yeah, that whole team, like I said, was fantasy. Like I said, fantasy owners' wet dreams, man. They all went off. They all put up points.
I know there's someone somewhere who has a Miami Dolphins stack that's like Tua and Tyreek and Achane and Mostert. And I really want to see that. That's like 100 points. That's over 100 points by themselves. That's like 150 points worth of. Anyway. Number 4 on the top 5 wide receivers for week 3, Justin Jefferson of the Minnesota Vikings, doing what he does, 20.9 points. And then number 5, there was a tie for number 5 this week. Tank Dell coming in with 20.5 points. And old man Adam Thielen also tied at 20.5 points. It's an interesting name to see in the top 5. I wasn't 100% sure that we would ever see Adam Thielen in the top fantasy contributors for a week ever again. So kind of cool to see him sniffing around there again. Let's move it on to the tight ends. Sam Laporta. Oh, rookie Sam Laporta putting up 22.4 points. Sheesh. Rookie tight ends can't be trusted, but every now and then they'll give you a game. You say, we can work with this.
Hey, he's been getting involvement too over the past couple of weeks. So, I mean, if you have Sam Laporta, like, you are ecstatic. You're like, hopefully we can keep this rolling and keep it going. And, I mean, you probably aren't wrong because he's like one of their focal points of their offense too. So, And he's not like a main, like I said, go down. He'll run a seam every now and again, but he's not like that deep threat that you expect him to be, especially not when Jameson Williams comes back. But he's going to be out there. People are going to forget that he's there because he's a rookie, and then he's going to come out and put up some points on you.
Number 2 on the list, Travis Kelce. No surprise here. 19.9 points in front of the world god and Taylor Swift. 19.9 fantasy points. You know what? I didn't write it down in the news, but did you see that Travis Kelce's jersey has gone up? Like his sales have gone up for his jersey by like 400% just because of the Swifties.
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy.
Hey, that's ridiculous. Hey, I know if I'm him, I'm like I said, because he gets a little bit of that check too. So I know he's happy about it. He's like, hey, all I had to do was date a celebrity. Oh yeah, Hey, that's all I need too. I just need to date a celebrity, put my name out there.
Right. Number 3 on the list, George Kittle. 16 points for the San Francisco 49ers. Always good to see George Kittle in the top 5, man. George Kittle is one of my favorite players in the NFL, even though he plays for a team that I absolutely hate with every ounce of my moral being. Like, he's so fun to watch. He's so well-rounded as a tight end. Like, he's a complete tight end in a day and age where complete tight ends don't really exist anymore. And he's so fun to listen to when he's mic'd up because he's like a kid out there in a candy store and he's just having a blast. I fucking love George Kittle, man.
Oh, you and me both.
Number 4 on the list, a dude I've never fucking heard of. Pharaoh Brown from the Patriots, 15.1 points. I don't know if I'm even saying his first name right. Pharaoh? Yeah, one of the two. For the New England Patriots, 15.1 points. And then number 5, I think this is his second time being in the top 5 tight ends. Donald Parham Jr. for the LA Chargers, 14.4 points.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, he's just a big guy, like I said, at the goal line who they use. And he's like, what, like 6'7", 6'8"? Shoot, and he's pretty quick too. Like I said, he's a big basketball player. So like I said, just throw it up real quick. I think he's only have like, so far this season, he only has like 48 yards. So he has like 3 or 4 touchdowns. So it might be a low-key sleeper. Like I said, definitely if he keeps up this momentum.
It might be worth looking at a stash if you were, in a deeper fantasy league and he's out there on waivers, to see if he keeps it up. Let's go over the defense and special teams real quick. The Buffalo Bills dominated in terms of defensive points this week from a fantasy football purpose. 32 points from the Buffalo Bills because, man, Sam Howell just got beaten up and threw the ball to them repeatedly, just over and over and over. Oh, rough game. I'm pretty sure they got they didn't get completely shut out. I think they got a field goal, but still, either way, the Commanders just got manhandled.
Yeah, it was rough.
Number 2 on the list is the Detroit Lions, 16 points. Number 3, we got the Houston Texans, which is probably the most surprising on this list to me, seeing as how they went against the Baltimore Ravens, and they were missing their starting quarterback, and the whole team.
No, Houston went against Jacksonville.
Oh shit, that's right. Who the fuck did Texans play? Oh, they played the Jags.
Yeah.
Texans played the Jags. They got the upset. Never mind. Fuck me then. Either way, it's still impressive. Number 4 on the list, the Philadelphia Eagles, which is the thing I like to see.
Not surprising.
Yeah, the thing I like to see least. I guess we could talk about it afterwards, but yeah, not what I like to see on the list. And number 5, the Cleveland Browns, who were also tied with the Eagles with 12 fantasy points racked up. So yeah, that's the Browns, putting in a nice little defensive special teams performance here in the early parts of 2023.
It was against Tennessee, though. So Titans weren't doing too well.
Yeah, they did it last week too.
Yeah.
All right, well that is going to wrap it up for the top 5 at every position, fantasy football. Let's go on and move into the Thursday night preview.
Thursday night preview.
It's Thursday night preview time on the week 3 recap episode. This is part of the pick'em portion that we do right up here. As you can see, we got our pick'em records. We're doing okay. BJ had a great week last week. I don't know what his record is, and I don't know who he's picked for Thursday Night Football because I didn't get that information ahead of time. But either way, it's something we're keeping track of all season. So y'all make sure you tune in, get the information. This Thursday night, we have Detroit at Green Bay, and Green Bay are the 1.5-point home dogs. So Derek, who you picking for this one?
I don't know. Like I said, it's going to be a good game for sure this week. It's going to be a lot better than last week's at least. But San Francisco just thanked the Giants. But I will have to go with Detroit. I think Detroit might win this game. They've been on, like I said, they got a good squad that they got going. The run game may not be there. Definitely, since, like I said, David Montgomery's hurt, but they got a good squad, and I think. But it's hard to choose because, like I said again, I like Green Bay. Green Bay's been doing some work, and like I said, Jordan Love has had his big comeback victory from the Saints last week. Like I said, this last week too. So, but I said I got to go with Detroit in this week.
It's not a bad call, man. Not a bad call. It's a rough game to try to predict because it could, for one, Thursday Night Football is just unpredictable. Like, you just can't ever really figure out what to. NFL and as a whole is incredibly unpredictable, but Thursday Night Football specifically is even more predictable because it just kind of whatever the fuck happens. It's a super short week. Dudes are still really banged up. If we're being completely honest, Thursday Night Football probably shouldn't be a fucking thing. But the NFL is money hungry as shit, so they're not gonna let this opportunity slip away. I lean Green Bay when I made this pick, and I guess I'm gonna pick Green Bay. 1.5-point home dogs tells me that I mean, it's not a whole lot to infer from the spread. I guess the teams are super close. Aaron Jones and Christian Watson were both very close to playing this week. I think Aaron Jones specifically was very close, and now since it's Thursday Night Football, they're not getting a full week of rest. I don't know whether they're going to be available for this game or not, but what I do know is Jordan Love has been cooking, and I don't mean cooking as in putting up giant gaudy numbers like Tua Tagovailoa, who's been lighting the league on fire, but he's been doing what he needs to do to get the win. And like Derek was saying, he had to come back last week against the New Orleans Saints at home against a stout defense. And if he gets even one of his weapons back, I think that might be enough to beat Detroit. And not even to mention how rowdy the crowd is going to be, because it's a division rivalry. Because NFC North, they got some deep roots in their rivalry, some deep-seated hatred for each other in these teams. So I expect to be a rowdy crowd in Green Bay, and hopefully, at least from my prediction standpoint, Aaron Jones and or Christian Watson make a comeback, and it'll be a really good game. Either way, I think. That does it.
Like I said, I think, like I said, the only reason why I didn't lean Green Bay was, like I said, because again, that question mark on if he does get those two weapons back. But like I said, if it's just as is right now, I got to go with Detroit. Because again, like you said with Aaron Jones, he's just a fucking beast. He's can't, like I said, if he comes back, like I said, I mean, my answer might change. But as of right now, I have to go with Detroit.
I think that's fair. I don't really feel like there's a wrong answer in this pick'em. I feel like it's just kind of a pick your flavor, like what flavor suits you best. And for me personally, I'm gonna go with the home team. I think they have the better quarterback. So, all right, well that's gonna do it for the pick'em portion of this. This is usually the part of the show where we don't really have anything planned, but we are just gonna wing it with some points that we might have come up with throughout the week, throughout the football weekend. I guess I'll start it off and just give you some time to think about a point. First, the thing that I want to talk about is the Philadelphia Eagles defense. Man, they look like a totally different unit on the field this week compared to the previous couple weeks. Like they looked so much better. They look like they finally figured some shit out. Now, granted, it was against Tampa Bay, but they do have some firepower. It was against Baker Mayfield, but still. They look like their defensive line was getting pressure. Their DBs came up with a couple picks. It's just they look like a very well-rounded athletic unit, a very young unit, and this is kind of what everybody thought they were going to be going into the season. And it really just kind of instills that fear in the back of your mind if you're a fan of another team in the NFC East. You're looking at all the pieces, looking at Jalen Carter out there, looking at Nolan Smith coming off the edge. You just like, oh my God, it's happening.
Yeah. But I mean, it was also like I said, their secondary was still kind of like iffy, but their secondary was solid. They got, like I said, Blankenship back. He had a pick. He also got caught on by Mike Evans too, but that outstanding one-handed catch on top of his shoulder, like I said, almost teabagged him. Like I said, as he came down, but like that catch was ridiculous. But other than that, like I said, I mean, plus it was just Baker Mayfield playing in the rain. I think he was not ready to play in the rain, and it was. You could see he was trying to throw a couple balls, but he hesitated on some, and then, of course, got sacked on a bunch of them or even threw a pick. So, but that Eagles defense, like you were talking about, like I said, I'm kind of conflicted about it because, like I said, I am kind of a Dallas fan, but I do own the Eagles in fantasy. So I'm like, yes, but no, but yes. Oh. Yeah, I mean, it kind of is what it is. But, yeah, their defense is coming together real well. And it's only week 3, so just imagine the rest of it. Like I said, when they start getting their communication down together, and that definitely the trenches are going to look deadly.
Yeah, their run game has also been devastating. Like, I don't have any stats to back it up, but man, they have been running the football efficiently, and the offensive line still looks really good. Like, they've got 2 or 3 just senior citizens on the offensive line that refuse to retire, and they're just good every year. And they're probably going to lead the NFL in rushing again, or at least be towards the top somewhere. So they might, that might be their formula for winning this year. If Jalen Hurts isn't quite chunking the ball like he was last year, slinging the rock as accurately, maybe, you've got strong run game, you've got strong defense. Maybe you lean on that this year,
Mm-hmm. And then, like I said, I guess a key point I wanted to talk about, since we're talking about the Eagles, like I said, it's just, again, how this, the Eagles' right tackle, like I said, Lane Johnson is doing his little, of course, quick step off the line and all false starting, but then they don't want to call that. But then, like I said, they're calling the Chiefs' right tackle. He does the exact same thing, lined up the exact same way, and it's just I feel like it depends on whose team is doing what, but he did the exact same thing back when he was in Tennessee. So it's just like. It's again where you're like, man, it's just refs calling certain plays when they want to. They want to pick certain people out and don't want to call it on other people.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting that specifically the right tackle getting a jump on the snap has become an issue this year, and it was specifically because of the Chiefs game, because Lane Johnson has made a fucking career out of this. Like, every game this man has ever played in, he, like, every passing snap, he jumps early, and it's always been that way. It's something, and I'm not knocking him, because apparently, there's something in the NFL rule book that like makes it technically legal to where tackles can do this. And because Duke Mayweather was talking about it on Twitter. If you don't know who Duke Mayweather is, he is an offensive line guru. You should go check him out. He's awesome. But yeah, he was saying it's not technically against the rules, and like Lane Johnson got so good at it, and that just gives you a whole like yard or two of a head start on these crazy freak athletic defensive ends that are coming at you from all sides. Like, it just gives you a head start. So it became a thing that all right tackles started doing. Terrence Steele, the Dallas Cowboys, started doing it, and he got way better in pass protection, But now it's a problem, and it's been brought to the league's attention. But Lane Johnson is still going to get away with them, apparently. So.
Yeah, my thing is again with just the fact that like I said, Jawan Taylor, he's getting picked on about it. Like I said, even like I said, the last game, I think he had thrown the flag. Like, I think he got 4 false starts or something on it just last game, and it's like, man, like, it's just ridiculous. I said, but again, on a crucial play. I think it was, like I said, when it was Tampa Bay versus Eagles, and Lane Johnson jumped again. Everybody was like, "Oh, look, look, look!" And the refs didn't call it, and they were just like, "Oh, well, whatever." And then they end up getting the first down, and it's like, "Oh, well." Now it ices the game out, and it's like, "Oh, well."
It's
But
oh, go ahead.
go ahead. No, that was it.
Okay, I was gonna say it is gonna be interesting to see like how tic-tacky, I guess is the word to use, the phrase to use. Like, it's gonna be interesting to see how close are we actually calling this, because like when I say he's made a career out of doing this, I'm talking like a long fucking time. Like it's been like it got to the point to where he got so good at it that everybody else started doing it. Like this has been happening for years, and everybody always thought it was bullshit. Everybody has always been upset about it, talking about how the right tackles are usually getting a head start on the play, but nothing ever came of it. So now that it's like a problem, and they're saying like, "Oh, we're gonna be watching this. We're gonna be calling false starts on this." How often are we talking? Every time they jump? Because if we're talking every time they jump, there are a couple instances you can think of to where he might have got away with one. But if you're just talking about like shit, I don't know. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be interesting to watch.
I would just like league-wide consistency of it, because if they're going to make that rule, they might as well be consistent with it regardless throughout the league. That's just my point on it.
If you're gonna call it, call it.
Yeah,
if somebody moves early, you move early. I can see that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that'd be a good way to.
I said my other thing is, my other key point is just with I want to talk about the New Orleans and Green Bay game, because like I said it was looking like Derek Carr. Like I said again, he was doing good until he got tackled and hurt his throwing arm shoulder, and that game was looking real close, like he was about to lock it out, and then he gets hurt, and then Jameis Winston. I have no belief in Jameis Winston. Just me personally, he's just not a good quarterback, and it might look again where it's another Taysom Hill quarterback situation for the Saints until, like I said, at least Derek Carr gets back to full health. But it's again that one injury, like I said, and it's injuries they happen in the league, but that game was super close, and it was just it hurt my soul to see that happen, because it was like, oh man. But like I said, you saw how Jordan Love was able to use that injury to capitalize on the opportunity to come back and shut the game out.
First off, I just want to lead off with, I cannot believe that you hate Jameis Winston. I fucking love Jameis Winston. He is, in my opinion, one of the most fun quarterbacks to watch in the NFL, because he does not give a fuck. He is slinging that rock, and there's nothing you can do to stop him. What was the one year he had interception-wise? Didn't he throw like 20 or 30 picks, something fucking insane like that? Like he was the first player to ever. I fucking love Jameis Winston, man. I can't wait to watch that. That's gonna be so fun. Chris Olave is about to eat, son, because he's gonna get all the pass attempts that he can fucking handle.
Yeah. And Michael Thomas, they're just gonna throw it deep, just go. They're gonna run 4 verticals all game. That's all it's gonna be.
Hey, sometimes that's all it takes, baby. Jimmy Graham out there, fuck it.
And then I guess another point I want to talk about is, like I said, we spoke about it previously for quite a little bit, but the Lamar Jackson and his fumble issues. Like I said, what are you feeling about that? Do you think it's going to be a consistent thing that he's going to see all year? Because again, it basically kind of he fumbled like twice and lost the football twice. So it's a thing where, like, man, that ruins your, like I said, again, that ruins your drive, it ruins the game, it ruins your team's morale, because you're going down the field, and again, you lost the game just by a field goal when it's a game that what we would all say you should have won.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how many times he's fumbled, because I don't have that written down or pulled up, but I do know that he's fumbled 2 or 3 times, like every week. I think last week he might have fumbled once, but I'm pretty sure he's closer to double-digit fumbles than he is to 0. Man, I don't even know. The first week, I actually got to watch the game because it was on in my area. Got to watch the full game, and he just looked extremely careless with the football. And this, you got to keep in mind, these are the first games he's playing in a long time, because he got hurt towards the end of last year, and he ended up missing, I think, this is the first game he played in like 8 months or something. So he's still kind of getting into football shape. I don't unless I'm remembering incorrectly, I don't really remember Lamar having a fumbling problem. Like, he's always been the scrambling, running quarterback, so he's going to give you those rushing yards. He's going to take some hits, but fumbles weren't ever really a thing with Lamar. So it is kind of curious to see, like, all of a sudden this fumbling problem arises, and it's not just when he's running. Like, it's also when he's in the pocket getting hit.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, subject that I want to touch on, man. I want to talk about the Cowboys, unsurprisingly. We talk about the Dallas Cowboys going into Arizona and getting absolutely punched in the mouth by the Arizona Cardinals, man. Now, I know y'all see all the Cowboys shit on the wall, and I know you see the hats. Okay, I'm not running from it. I'm here to talk about these things. Let's talk about it. I'm concerned. And not because we lost to the Cardinals. This is not me telling you if you're a Cowboys fan, we're 3 weeks in, we just lost the game. Panic. No, that's not what I'm doing. Okay. What I am saying is red zone offense has been absolutely fucking dreadful. And their tendencies in the red zone have been embarrassing. Like, we gotta get some shit figured out here, Mike. Mike McCarthy said that he was gonna work on red zone shit this week, and I really hope that he is going to follow through on his word with that, and we're not going to get some of these ridiculous running tendencies. Because I had a graph pulled up. It was graphing the Cowboys' tendencies in the red zone so far for the entire season. And it was on down and distance inside the red zone. And there was so many blocks on that list of down and distance that were 100% run plays. So that means every time you get in that down and distance in the red zone, you're running the ball. What the fuck are we doing? Can we mix this up a little bit? Like, I'm not telling you that every play has to be a pass play, but what I am saying is if you're getting in the red zone, and on first down you're handing the ball off and getting a yard, on second down you're handing the ball off and getting a yard or two, you're putting your quarterback in disadvantageous positions. You're expecting him to work at poor down and distances with not a whole lot of room to work with, because that's the problem, the challenge of being in the red zone, is that you have less room to work with, less room to pass the ball, right? Cool. Maybe we passed the ball earlier, Maybe we passed the ball on first down. You pick up 4 or 5 yards instead of 1. Maybe you get a first down. Maybe you score, Running the ball in the red zone hasn't exactly been our strong suit. And it's not like we're missing Zeke. It's not like we're missing that power back to get in the end zone, because we can't fucking get inside the 3-yard line to even get that situation. Can we mix it up a little bit? Can we scheme some guys open, Let's send some pre-snap motion. Let's run some rub routes. If we got CeeDee Lamb out there, you got Tony Pollard out there, you can just get the ball to your playmaker in space and let him cook, pick up some yardage. What are we doing? Quit running the fucking ball on every play in the red zone. What are we doing? Stop!
It's not. I wouldn't even say that's just the problem in the red zone. It's their problem, I said, altogether, because again, it's like most of their drive, I think last game, most of the drive was like, first down, second down, let's try to run the ball. Which, I understand he wants to give his defense a break. That's what he said. But, if it's not effective, you've been doing this for the last, 3 or 4 drives, and next your defense, like I said, Arizona defense was seeing it. They're like, man, they're just running the ball the first couple. So all we got to do is stack the box and, hit them over, and just hit them over the head. And that's what they did. And you're just like, man, okay, now just pass the ball. And then when they passed the ball, it was like, well, they just didn't have enough pressure, and Dak, so you could tell, Dak wasn't ready to throw the ball, because he's like, okay, well, we've been running the ball. He hasn't had a rhythm of throwing the ball, which is, again, what he needs to get in order to become probably a little bit more efficient. But the red zone, again, is just, I think you sent it in the group, the group chat, where it was I think, again, you're forced, I said, up until 1 yard line away, up to about 6 yard line, to the 6 yard line. Just run the ball. You got to do something different if you're trying to get in. Definitely, if you're, understand. Again, you're trying to wear the defense down probably a little bit, but again, you got to do something else every now and again.
What blew my mind? Sorry,
go ahead.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just gonna say, what blew my mind about that chart too is that it was for the whole season. I thought it was just for the Arizona game until I asked the guy who posted the picture, and he was like, "No, that's for the season." I'm like, "For the season, bro? 100% run plays on these down and distances? You think we're building up some tendencies, Mike McCarthy? You think we got some tendencies? It looks like we do." Another thing that I would like to talk about while we're still on the Cowboys offense, and I know some of y'all are probably confused about the Cowboys defense. Like, well, they gave up all these points, and that is true. But what I will say about the Cowboys defense is this is some shit. It was all self-inflicted shit. There was some weird. Dan Quinn looked like he tried to outsmart himself. There was a lot of times to where the Cardinals were running the ball down your fucking throat. Dan Quinn was coming out in these super weird formations where you're taking your superstar edge rusher and you're lining him up over a guard in like a 2-eye technique, and then you're taking your disruptive defensive tackle and you're putting him in like a 4-eye. Like, it just didn't make any fucking sense. You need some beef in the middle. Get a little more basic. Get back to your fundamentals. Don't come at me with Trayvon Diggs missing his collapse in the defense, because Trayvon Diggs ain't have shit to do with Stephon Gilmore completely brain farting and blowing the coverage. So the defense, I think, is going to fix itself. The offense is my big problem here. And another thing that I wanted to point out was the West Coast offense, or as Mike McCarthy likes to call it, the Tex Coast, because he's the Cowboys head coach now. The West Coast offense is great and all when you've got a lead and your defense is beating the hell out the other team. You really don't have to worry about them scoring. You can just check down, touchdown or check down. Tex Coast offense, you just kind of work your way down the field. But what sucks is when you're running a West Coast offense, when you're down multiple possessions, you're taking 12 plays to go small chunks of the field, burning 6-7 minutes of clock, and then you finish the drive with 3 or 0. That shit cannot happen. At some point, when you get down by multiple possessions and you've got to cook, you've got to let Dak cook, man. Or you've got to start pushing the ball down the field a little bit, and your West Coast shit got to go out the window. The West Coast is only going to work for so long. I'm very curious to see how that plays out later in the season, because Mike McCarthy hit on a lot of this shit after the game in a press conference, and said that he was aware of a lot of their problems. So yeah, we'll see how it gets addressed. But unfortunately, I'm pretty sure I know how it's going to get addressed, and that means it's not. It's just something that we got to deal with the whole season.
Yep. And again, if you're a Miami Dolphins fan, like I said, hey, you guys should be celebrating. I mean, you guys did beat the Broncos, but celebrate while you can, like I said, because it was a good game. I enjoyed it. I know I'd be doing that if my team was putting up all, like I said, having a field day. But again, I think my key point I want to talk about with that is, again, you said Broncos, their key thing for them is their defense. Oh, their defense. We have a good defense. Well, it surely didn't look like it. I know it's just Miami. Miami's a totally different monster, but it's, again, the defense just looked, like I said, that's what it is for me. I'm done with the Broncos. I can't get on to them. I can't applaud them for anything, because it's like their defense is their key point, and again, they just absolutely shanked it into left field. Just horrible. Yeah, I can't stand them anymore. Like I said, they lost all my faith.
Yep, I'm pretty much with you on that boat, man. It's kind of funny. It is kind of poetic justice that Sean Payton came in this offseason and was just throwing shit and talking shit about everybody in the Broncos organization last year and how poor of a job they did, and then he gets beat 70-20, and they start out as bad as they've started out. It's pretty funny. I like Sean Payton personally, but it's he's kind of taking his medicine on this one, I guess. I'm in the same boat with you though. When it comes to games in the future, I will not be picking the Denver Broncos to win a single fucking game, and I'm sure that is going to impact my record very positively. Miami Dolphins fans, don't let anybody take this away from you by saying, "Oh, it's just the Broncos." Because if it was just the Broncos, how come everybody else didn't do it? Beat any team in the league 70-20, and then get back to us, man. The Dolphins are fucking cooking right now, and I'd be celebrating.
I said it's again where just imagine if Tua didn't get all these concussions last year. We probably would have seen the exact same thing, and it's amazing. I gotta say it's pretty good. I'm not bandwagon or nothing, but I gotta enjoy a team when they're doing solid, and that's what they're doing. They're like I said, one of the teams that are 3-0 still. So, congrats to them.
Sometimes even if you are a fan, everybody's a fan of a specific team in the NFL, but it never hurts to take a step back and appreciate greatness sometimes, you know? Like when you got to watch those Steelers defenses back in the day, or at least it's back in the day to me, with Troy Polamalu and James Harrison and Lamar Woodley and all these kinds of studs, like you appreciated that. And when you got to watch the Ravens defense with Terrell Suggs and Ray Lewis and Ed Reed, you appreciated that shit. You know what I mean? Like there's just some things that you appreciate over the course of NFL history, and I think the Dolphins offense is on pace right now to be one of those things that you look back on and appreciate. The Broncos offense back in the day, man, with Peyton Manning when they had Demaryius Thomas and Julius Thomas, and you know, like there's been a lot of good stuff that you just think back on over the years, and you're like, man, what a season! And this could be one of those. This could be one of those for the Dolphins.
I mean, I'm saying, like I said, I don't know the way, like I said, the way that I'm looking at it. I don't know if there's. I still say it's probably in between KC, but I think Miami is. For me, it's either Miami or KC because both of those teams are really good. And they both came out pretty strong. Definitely when they've had their full squad, or even missing one. But I think those two teams in the AFC are almost solid locks. For sure, solid locks. Assuming no injuries happen, but it's good.
Well, thank y'all so much for tuning in to this Week 3 recap episode. Make sure if you enjoyed the episode, you go ahead and drop us a follow down there. We're on Spotify and YouTube at Sunday Morning Jitters Podcast, at SMJ Pod on Twitter. We're going to be doing the Week 4 preview here pretty soon. We're going to should be Friday, maybe coming out Saturday morning. I don't know, we'll see. But if you want to follow along with that, make sure you follow us. Turn on your noties. Get in there. If you enjoyed this episode, or you're a fan of a team that we talked about, maybe you disagreed with something we said, drop a comment. Let us know, man. Thank y'all so much for watching. Bye.